Good afternoon. I thought it much easier to just try and create a sort of video presentation just to explain the situation that faces the current Year 12 in terms of their exams this summer and the situation going ahead into the Year 13 next year. So I've put together a few thoughts and can explain some of the background for us all. So the situation as we sit at the moment is that the exam boards really haven't provided us with any clarity whatsoever. And that's not really surprising. They're actually prioritising the A-level and the GCSE grades. We've got to remember that students in the UK don't actually sit AS levels. All the exams there have gone linear. And the consequence of that is that we're quite a low priority in the international community. We are in contact with them on a daily basis. We are trying to get answers, and I know that there's a lot of anxiety out there about what's going to happen. But at the moment, they're fairly slow, and I think we're going to have to be patient. So I thought I'd take this opportunity just to give you a little bit of background around what we're doing and how the AS and A2 works, and it will give a bit of the landscape for the decisions that they're making. So our exam subjects really fit into three different categories. First of all, we've got those subjects which are done in a linear way, i.e. there are no exams in Year 12. And that's art, drama, music, Chinese, physical education, and DT. So in those subjects, we weren't ever going to have exams this summer, so there's been no change. And apart from the disruption, that we're in a situation where those exams would not have happened. There wouldn't have been any exams this summer. The second category are those studying for Pearson and modular exams. And the list of those subjects is on the board, and most people actually are involved in one or other of those subjects. Now there's a difference here between two different categories. First of all, there are some of those subjects, three of those subjects, almost certainly the students will be going on to take into the Year 13 to be their A-level subjects. And then there's one subject, typically, which they will be giving up, and which will be their AS, and they would want to collect a grade for it at the end to certificate the work they've done to this point. And the way it looks like this is going to happen moving forward is that students who are taking the modules forward will have to sit those modules in January instead of this summer. And I'll come on to why it's important they do that and how that will help. The group who are giving up the fourth subject, it is very likely that Pearson will award a grade in the same way that they will award a grade for the GCSE and for the A-level, because that's finishing the qualification at that point. Now, in order to explain the complexity of why, and I need to go into the background and the complexity of how AS and A2 works in a bit more detail for people to understand the decision of why it's important that students sit those exams in January. So in subjects like maths and science, they do 3 papers in the Year 12 and 3 papers in Year 13. And there are 600 uniform marks for those exams. In other subjects, they do 2 papers in Year 12 and 2 in Year 13. It varies a little bit from subject to subject. This is a broad brush of where we are, but it will give you a picture of how the system works. And they often have 400 UMS marks. When we bring all these together, it doesn't really matter whether there's 400 or 600 marks. 80% will get you an A, 70% will get you a B, 60% a C, and so on. On the overall grade, whether you cash it in at the end of an AS level and you cash in 160 points plus and get an A, or whether you cash in 325, for example, and get an A level at the end of it. The A2 is slightly, or A star is slightly different. in the A-star, you have to get 90% on the upper 6 modules, and you have to get an overall A grade. So that component is solely related to the work next year. So let's take a math student, for example, who is studying for on a 600 UMS course. So to get an A grade, a student would need to get 240 out of 300 to get it in their year 12 marks. But let's say they actually get 300. Well, a student who gets 300 in her year 12 exams can carry the additional 60 UMS marks forward as a sort of credit into their year 13. So that would mean that she would only need to get 180 UMS marks in the upper 6th year to get to the 480, which is a grade A. If, however, she only got 240 and just scraped an A in the AS level year, in the year 12, she would have to get 240 more marks in the year 13 to get her 480. So the strategy we have with mathematics is we try to get the highest possible grades on their AS level grades, so that they then carry that forward as a buffer into the upper 6th. Now, remember that the examinations for A2 are more difficult. So in maths, for example, it's cumulative. You have pure 1, pure 2, pure 3, and the maths gets harder as they go on. So the way to get top grades is to get grades in the year 12 year and to get high grades there. Now, if the boards just give us a grade A, they're not going to give us any indication whether it's 240 UMS marks or whether it's going to be 300. And for those students who are aspiring to get top grades, it would be much better to have UMS grades of 300 in the bank taken in January, because that would then carry forward and allow them to get the top grade the following summer. Now, moving to our third category, we have 3 subjects which are studied on Cambridge AS and A level. And that's media studies, history, and computer science. Now, those subjects, Cambridge is going to make an announcement later today, so we don't really know, and we will hopefully have a bit more clarity from that fairly soon. But looking at their structure, Cambridge has a different structure to the Pearson EdXL. So Cambridge consists of 2 standalone qualifications, which are then bolted together to get a final grade. So it's quite possible they could jump either way here. They might insist that AS students who are going on to A2 actually take exams, or they might end up just giving them a grade. We'll find out later today, hopefully, and we'll be able to communicate that to you. So let's look at what we're going to do next and where we go from here. So in the immediate end of this term, we've got 5-6 days left of this term. This is really a time to regroup. There's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and a lot of worry, and we really just need everyone to regroup. Students can be continuing with their extended project qualification. That's really important. That's a public qualification. It's really important that the year 12 students have that. That will be, in many cases, the basis of an interview and what they're going to talk about and put on their UCAS form. So it's really important that that is a really well done piece of work. Also, we've got 1 or 2 subjects where AS courses haven't been finished. This is normal. We usually aim to finish courses by Easter. So some lessons in live learning will continue in some subjects and to complete the courses and get everybody to the same point. And as we go into term 3, for the year 12 students, we'll continue with their EPQ and we'll start university preparation. We're going to use the window between the start of next term and the break. There's a sort of long weekend for Buddha's birthday and the 1st of May bank holiday. So those 8 teaching days, we're going to really focus on EPQ and getting that done, and on university, starting work on university preparation. That will also give us time as a senior team to regroup and be able to put our A2 programs. We've had to rewrite all our timetables for next term to reschedule, because we're going to start the A2 work straight away on the 4th of May. And the A2 program will begin at that point. The students will be learning new material, which will be for their exams. And we will have 5 or 6 weeks additional teaching, which we don't usually have, which is an enormous bonus for us. So we'll be able to get ahead. We'll be further on in September, we'll be further on. That will enable us to put a full revision period in and provide full support for the students as they head into those January exams in a way that we're not usually able to devote time to do, because we usually are rushing to get through our A2 syllabuses. So we're going to reschedule our scheme to work in order to be able to support students so they can do really, really well in January. In fact, some schools take their AS levels in January anyway, because the students are a little bit older, a bit more experienced, their essay styles are a bit more developed. They might have learned more maths beyond the level that they need to do. So when they come to sit Mechanics 1 and they've already studied Mechanics 2, they're actually really skilled at it. So there's a huge advantage in doing this going forward. I hope that gives you some reassurance that about what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks and where we are with the exam boards. We'll obviously try and keep you up to date as much as possible as and when information becomes available. This has been really quite a testing time for the whole community, but I'm sure we will come through this with real strength, and I look forward to working with you over the coming weeks and trying to get all this stuff done together. So stay safe, and we'll catch up hopefully when we get back into school early next term. Thank you very much.